Hey friend, welcome back to another episode of the Speaking and Storytelling Podcast. I am your host, Emanuela Hall, and this is episode number 13. Book more speaking gigs. This is a conversation I had with Trish Zenczak back in 2022. I know it has been a while, but trust me, there are still so many incredible and valuable tips that she shares. Trish had a full career as a speaker, so she shares her speaking journey, and she is a mission-driven, faith-filled woman. She's a child of God, a mother, a wife, and a business owner. And since this conversation with Trish, she actually felt the Lord calling her into something entirely different. So now Trish is a trauma-responsive education specialist, and her podcast is Society's Child Podcast. I will put that in the show notes, and I encourage you to check her out there and still take away all of this incredible wisdom that she shares inside of our conversation. Now, I want to let you know that this is our final episode of season 1. Woo woo! I can't believe we are already here. Next week, we will be taking a week off, and then we will start season 2. That is going to have so many more incredible things for you. If you are loving this podcast so far, please take 30 seconds and write me a review. I absolutely love hearing from you, and it helps the algorithms. It helps more people to find this podcast so that they can go out and share their God-given voices with the world. I will see you in a couple of weeks. God bless. Do you dream of sharing your message on stages, but are still terrified you'll mess it up? Want to crush your online videos so that you can grow your business, but you feel super awkward and hate the sound of your voice? Or maybe you simply want to feel more confident in the boardroom without reading your notes and fumbling over your words? Hello, new friend, and welcome to the Speaking and Storytelling Podcast, a show for Christ-led entrepreneurs and leaders who want to make a humongous impact in the world. I'm so glad you're here. I'm your host, Emanuela, a stage actress and playwright turned speaking coach and story consultant. Whether you want to master speaking on stages, online, in the boardroom, or the classroom, if you believe you're meant to make an impact in the world and you know your voice and story is the ticket to get you there, then this podcast is for you, my friend. Over the past 4 years, I've helped dozens of entrepreneurs find and tell their stories, speak with authority, and captivate their audience so that they can grow their visibility, further their God-given mission, and change the world. If you're ready to do that too, then sit back, grab a pen and paper, and enjoy the show. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm very excited today. I have a very special guest. Oh, sorry, I don't see, this is me. Let's close that. You heard it a few times. I have a very special guest here. Trish, thank you for joining me. Thank you so much. I spoke in Trish's group a little while ago. When I met her, I was like, I think we need to chat. We need to share our expertise. And we had such a fun time that I wanted to invite her here because she has such a wealth of knowledge when it comes to speaking, sharing your story, and coaching, all of the things we talk about here. So thank you so much, Trish, for being here.
And you're very welcome. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so excited. So I'm going to introduce you. I'll let everybody know your background, your story as people start to hop on. And please, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. I will try and take a look at them. But if you are watching on the replay, just hashtag replay. You can even tag myself or Trish, and we'd be happy to answer any questions or just check out your comments. All right, so Trish, I meant to ask you how to pronounce your last name before this. Zenczak. Zenczak?
Zenczak. The C is silent.
Okay. Trish Zenczak is a mission-driven, faith-filled woman who is first a child of God, then a wife, a mother, and a business owner.
She purely believes in the importance of sharing her story for the benefit of others who may be enduring the same hardships. I love that. She is one of America's truest survivors and strongest advocates for foster and adoptive care. Having overcome sexual and physical abuse as a child, as well as the trials of living in foster care and group homes, and later being a high school dropout, she has smiled in the face of adversity. The rejection, abandonment, and mistreatment led to many limiting beliefs. Thankfully, the many mentors, prayers, and amazing connections in her life all led her to therapy, recovery, and a healthy mindset. Now, Trish uses her tips, tools, and talents to help other speakers, authors, and coaches tell their story as they build a profitable speaking business or launch a speaking career that will make a difference in this world.
Thank you.
Wow. So tell us, I just love how you've taken such an amazing life and have now used it to help other people. So I would love for you, we learned a bit about your story, but tell me, like, how did you become a speaker? What inspired you to take that path and start speaking on stages and telling your story?
Oh, well, thank you. Well, it started when I was really young. As it mentioned there, being in group homes, I was actually in a children's home that was a Christian children's home. And we had the privilege of going to different churches and singing. And so it started there when I would occasionally be asked to tell my story. And I would step up on stage and do that. And of course, that's also when I first passed out in the middle of one of these times and I woke up in some strange man's arms being carried out. And it was mortifying as a preteen. And so, but somehow I overcame that. And in high school, had a little bit of a drive to do some speaking. So I ended up doing some competitive speaking. And then later, and just, it's interesting how I believe my faith, it's like God led me to really take classes that I enjoyed, and it led down the speech route, the debate route. Then I ended up teaching for years and taught competitive speech. And then, when COVID hit, I was working for an entrepreneur and coaching offline. And I had the opportunity to go back to teaching and coaching, but chose to bring my business online. And so now I get to coach entrepreneurs to help them tell their story. And that's kind of how it's morphed all along. After 25 years of coaching and over 35 years of speaking, I'm obviously doing something that's filled me up in passion for my entire life.
Yeah, I love how it's passion that led you there and your faith. Like, just to hear that that's been the driving force and that you can still have all this amazing experiences and you can help and have wealth and have a business while you're still spreading some amazing stories. So for people, so in this space, we do have a lot of entrepreneurs who maybe don't identify as like a speaker, but that kind of excites them. Or we do have some speakers in the group and maybe they want to start speaking, or maybe they want to even do virtual speaking. So tell me first, like, why would that be important, and how can they, how is it a valuable tool as an entrepreneur to do?
Well, I truly believe, and this is how I kind of started out online, was about the visibility. It's really about helping people become visible. And why? So that audiences can get to know us and like us and trust us and really hear from our heart what it is we're trying to teach or what we're trying to help others with. So the first key would definitely be the visibility piece. And then the second key would be the know, like, and trust, whether you're doing it from podcasts or virtual summits online or speaking like we're doing in other groups, or even getting on a stage. Any form of it, even just on video, is a form of speaking. And I believe that it can 100% propel your business forward if it's done in the right way.
I love that, because I don't know about you, but when COVID hit and everything went virtual, were people like, well, who are you going to coach? There's no speaking gigs. I'm like, everybody's still speaking. Pretty sure that people are speaking more than ever because they're at home. They need an outlet. So that was always funny to me and I think the world isn't there will be hopefully live speaking. It's already started in a lot of places, but I think why, sometimes you don't have the opportunity to leave your house, and you can kind of create your own opportunities online.
Yes.
So, what advice would you have for someone that is just starting out? Maybe they've never told their story, maybe they don't even think they have a story, or they just haven't put those pieces together. I saw actually somebody this morning was saying, like, she's a web designer, and she's like, I don't know why I should tell my story. And so, do you think it's always important as an entrepreneur? And what kind of, I know I'm asking you like two questions in one.
That's okay.
Let's start with the first. What advice do you have for people who maybe are just starting out, and maybe they do want to speak on stages and book those kind of speaking gigs as well?
Well, I would just, the key word is just to start, and start by getting out there and getting visible. Get used to the camera, get used to being online, get used to being in stages, even if it's, showing up anywhere at any time. If there's an audience of 2 or 3, just get out there and be able to just practice telling your story, because a lot of times it comes with a little bit of fear of, I don't know if what I'm going to say is be accepted, or I don't know if they're going to understand, or I don't understand why. And so many times that fear holds us back, right? So that would be the first thing, is just work on any way that you can to start getting visible. The second thing is, if you're not sure how your story impacts or why you should tell your story, I would not focus on why as much as just getting things about your story down. There's a lot of ways that you can tie the story into business, and a lot of ways that you can talk about just normal life, because people want to relate to someone who is real. And a lot of times our stories may not be the same, but we definitely relate to the emotions. We're human driven. We relate to the feelings inside, or we understand what it means to go through something and be exuberant about something. So having those moments where we can share our story, just start writing them down. And if you're truly stuck and not really sure, I would encourage you to get with someone to maybe have that coach or someone help you begin to ask you questions that brings your story out, ask you, scenarios. And once you pull that out in a timeline, then you can have the voice of someone else that's going to help you be able to piece it together and figure out where that helps, what you can do to show up visibly, and how your story will be able to impact and make a difference for your business.
Oh, that's so many great tips. And I love the piece of asking someone else, because sometimes I think we're too in our own story to
Yes.
objectively step out of it. And to have somebody else say, like, what about all this and this and this? And just like you said, ask the right questions that it's very hard to be objective of our own story, of our own life. So that I think is something really, really important if you're struggling. And another question that comes up with people for me a lot, and you might have a good answer for this. People say to me a lot, well, I'm a private person. Or, I don't want to put my whole life out there. I'm a very private person. What do you say to that?
I respect that. I totally do. And there are things that, may need to be left private, especially if it's going to hurt somebody else, or you're going to share something that may feel a little uncomfortable putting out there. However, I do believe that there are certain parts of our stories, especially something that may be hidden, that explodes our growth if we will release that and expose it. As for someone who is private, then I would encourage you to just start by sharing what you're comfortable with, finding ways to reveal your story that are within your boundaries, within your comfort zone, and finding ways that speak your language that are going to resonate with your audience. And sometimes it's just about taking that risk, being willing to take that risk to maybe talk about someone, because I can tell you from personal experience, it's when I've gotten on camera, I'm real and I'm raw. Those tend to get my best replays. And it's amazing to me how people just want real. They just want to know that, hey, the other person on the other side of the camera, he gets me. They see me, whether I can say that I see them or not. It's just that feeling. So if you are a private person, number one, to reiterate, I would go with what you're comfortable with. Number two, stay within your boundaries to start with. And number three, challenge yourself, take a little bit of a risk to step out there and just challenge what you feel comfortable with, and then keep moving from there. And another little bonus tip too is if you have a really good friend that knows you really well, maybe ask them what they know of you and what they think you might want to share online, because a lot of times people know us better, and it might feel very big and personal, but maybe your friend says, that thing you went through, other people could so learn from that, and you might not even have an idea that isn't as personal as you might feel like it is, because a lot of times those of us who are very private, it feels like walking around a football field naked, right? When we are trying to tell our story in a simple way, and it's very difficult. So I hope that those tips were helpful.
Those were amazing. I'm just looking at the comments here. We have a hi from Levon. Hello. Sound is on. And then we have a question. Maybe we can get to this. I'm going to pop that in at the end. So just remind me, because it's more technical. But yeah, I love the piece you said about like what's going to resonate with your audience. And that's something that I try to remind people, like it can feel kind of, I don't want to sound too, I can't find the word right now, but too like, the phrase like sales is service. Like I don't want to sound, but speaking is service too. And sometimes, of course, like you said, I totally agree with that. Speaking from a place like know your boundaries, know what you're comfortable with, but also maybe like what is going to resonate with them? What do they need to hear? Like you said, when you're raw, it's not the fact that, we're seeing her raw, that's what I love, but we're seeing what she's saying is exactly what I need to hear, what I'm feeling. So I love that. Take your audience into consideration. So if people want to speak, where do we look? I think you've mentioned it already, like other Facebook groups and podcasts, but like that initial step, it's great to start getting comfortable speaking live or even in recorded videos on your own personal Facebook page, your own group, your own Instagram. But then when like you and I, we just had a conversation in the DMs. We're like, this is what I do. This is what you do. I love what you do. Let's talk. It was very easy. So, but there may be a little bit more of a barrier. Say you have a podcast that you think you would be great for, and you think, how do I even put my foot in the door? How do I even apply? Where do I find these speaking jobs? Do you have any advice, like where people can find these opportunities outside of Facebook and Instagram?
Well, I do actually have a freebie that I'm working on that has, I think it's 10 or 12 of the most simple places to find speaking opportunities. And I can drop that in the link afterwards. But some of the ones that I do, one of my favorites, and I even refrequent this site, is on Facebook. There's a group called Need a Guest. And the girls started it completely for this reason. And it's basically a bunch of podcast people that come there and they put their podcasts out looking for a guest, or those of us who wish to speak on a podcast or don't mind putting ourselves out there. We might, go out there and say, I'm looking to be a guest. And you can just scroll through, and some of them have extensive applications that you fill out, and they want to know your background and so on. And some of them are just like, yeah, here's my calendar, go click and we'll do an interview. Sometimes they'll call me up and just kind of get to know me. And literally it's been like having a conversation with someone on the phone. It's very simple. That would be one of the simplest ways. The other thing, and just like Emanuela and I found each other, I think we were in a group and we somehow connected on some level, and I'm like, oh, she does speaking, we do speaking. And I am of belief that if there's someone doing what I'm doing, there's always, they always say, make yourself stand out differently, right? So in our situation, I am always looking for people who are doing somewhat similar things, because I also believe that there's a different twist. So reach out to people who might be doing something similar to you and invite them into your circle and do an exchange of interviews, or have them as a guest, or, ask them if you could be a guest on theirs, write a blog for somebody, whatever it takes to get your word out there. Sometimes it's just about saying, hey, I'm interested in this. Is this something you offer? It does take a risk to ask to show up. But if you're looking to actually do speaking opportunities, There are all kinds of speaking directories you can look into. There are platforms that train you, you know, in terms of like, okay, as we train you, we put you out there. There's media PR people. There's all kinds of people that are looking for speakers. And it's just about figuring out what kind of speaking you want to do. Are you getting your feet wet, or are you a seasoned speaker? You know, it ranges. And or what time do I have in my life right now to be able to do it? I may not be able to go out of the home to speak, but I can still keep my market fresh and going. And you never know where that podcast is going to go. You never know when someone's going to hear it at the right time. And you may record it today, but in 2 years, it's out there and it could potentially get you something that you're looking for.
Oh, absolutely. It's always the most obscure places I find that my next client comes from. Like, oh, you saw
Yes.
that random thing? Um, yeah, and I think it's interesting because I'll see people are like, oh, I want to speak on stages, but they've never done even just a Facebook Live on their profile. And so it's like that's part of the visibility. It's not like
Right.
speakers who speak on stages are here and then, you know, online entrepreneurs are here. They do that too. And that's just a step. And, you know, don't underestimate the power of Facebook groups.
Mm-hmm.
Like most of my clients have come from me doing a live in another person's Facebook group. And
Yes.
so make that part of your visibility strategy. You don't have to complicate it, you know, oh, well, I want to be on my local television morning show. That's great. And you know, you can reach out to, there's people in this group who are PR specialists as well. You can learn how to write that email and all the steps to go through that. But if you are a coach and you just want to get your message out there, don't underestimate the beauty of social media. And
That's
like you
so
said, I love that you touched on that, Trish, about people in the same niche. Like we are definitely in the same niche, but we come at it from two totally different perspectives and totally different backgrounds. And so, and I've talked to a lot of people have come into this group, and I know you host a lot of guests too, that maybe you think like, oh, should I be? And there's always, you know, those first thoughts of like, is this bad? Is this not a good move? But always collaboration over competition. Like we don't know how maybe we'll develop something together one day. Maybe those are the exact things we need, and people need to hear your voice right now at this exact moment or whenever they're watching the replay.
That's so true.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of ties in with the question that came up here. Yes, she will drop the link for the freebie. That's actually how I got the idea of our topic today, because that's such a great freebie that you are working on. So the question is, how can I get a communication certificate or public speaking certificate? Is that a thing? I don't know if that's a thing.
I think there are people out there that do offer that, but honestly, I really don't think you need it. I happened to major in communications as in college when I was young. My master's is certainly not in that, but I believe that anybody can grow the gift. I believe that anybody, if you have a voice and you have a heart, you have a passion, and you have a message, you can do it. And it doesn't take a certification to do that. I think that would just be chasing something that really isn't necessary. Nothing, you know, even if I didn't have a degree with all of my experience and stuff like that, I never even talk about my degree, because it's really about the love and the passion and the message that gets what you're doing out there. And if you have the experience to get your clients from transformation point A to transformation Z, and you can show tangible evidence of that, you have the experience needed. I don't believe that you need a certificate. There are schools out there that will say, hey, you came from, but I think for me, that's more of letting someone else's name hang on your title so that, you know, it's more proof for their school, not what you're doing. I mean, and it does give you a little bit of credibility that you came through their school, but not really sure it's necessary. What do you think, Emanuela?
No. I mean, it's almost like a art form, really, you know, and it's just like I went to theater school. There are actors that majored in acting, but that doesn't mean anything for their success. It's just a matter of if you want to learn the skill a little bit better, in which case you could work with Trish or me and we can teach you more of those skills.
Absolutely.
But yes, if you're the kind of person that needs a piece of paper from a place that says, I mean, the same is true for coaches, life coaches, health coaches. They can go through those coaching certifications, but there isn't really like a governing body. It's not like saying you're a therapist without getting the certification. As a speaker or a coach, there is no certification. It's just you are your certification, your body. Yeah. But like anything, if you want to learn about it just to learn more, then it's not a bad thing. But I wouldn't do it so that you have the piece of paper, because sometimes I think we use these courses, these certifications, as another way to like push our dreams forward. Like, oh, I'm not ready yet, I have to do that course and then I can do this. And then we'll just keep adding more courses and certifications and things instead of just doing the thing and putting yourself out there. So I agree totally, Trish. Let me see if you have any other questions for Trish. Nope, that seems to be it.
That was a very good question. Thank you for whoever asked that.
Yeah, that was great. So it's been really great talking to you. And
you too.
I love that we're connected. I would love for people to keep learning from you. Trish just shows up so honestly in her group. She is so authentic and genuine, and she's very consistent. And so if you want to follow her and you want to jump in her group, please let us know where we can follow you, Trish. Is that the best place? Are there other places?
Probably starting with the group would be a great way to get connected simply. And that's the name of the group is Super Empowered Speakers, Authors, and Coaches Connection. And I would love to have you in there, love to have you engaging, love to have you asking questions. And I even give opportunities for people to go live. They have a calendar that you can get on. You can go live, teach a subject, as long as it's something that would benefit a speaking entrepreneur, an author trying to go into speaking, or a coach that might be trying to build their business around speaking, something along those lines. So yeah, feel free to jump in there.
Awesome. You can drop that link down below, or I can do that, and go ahead and follow Trish. And we're very excited to see your freebie as well. I'm sure it'll be
absolutely.
Really beneficial. Yes. So what are you doing with the rest of your day?
Me? Yeah. I have a couple more calls, and I've got a coaching call this afternoon. So, and then it'll be family time later this evening. So
amazing. Sounds great in sunny Florida.
Yes.
I'm up here in Canada just dreaming about palm trees.
Oh, we do. We've had some gorgeous weather yesterday and today. It's cool for us. So we're like living on those last cool streaks.
It'll come soon. Thank you so much for being here. And is there
welcome.
Anything else you want to leave our audience with? Any last tip for the day?
I just want to encourage anybody that's thinking about speaking, get out from behind that fear, get out of your own way, and just step out there. Start tiny, start by doing it. If you have to create your own fake Facebook group and just practice going live in there, whatever's holding you back, just start, just do it. Because the more consistent you become, the more, even myself, with all this experience that I've had, it does get intimidating when you think about putting yourself out there. What's everybody going to think? What are my friends going to think? What if I say the wrong thing? What if someone criticizes me? We can live behind those voices all day long. But until we start doing it and we just say, you know what? I believe in me. I believe in my message, and I believe in what I'm doing. And if I'm okay with all those, I'm ready to answer questions. And let's do this. And so I'd encourage you to kind of find a way to that mentality, step out there and let your light shine. That's what I would recommend.
I love that. And a reminder that we all have those same thoughts.
Yes, we do.
Do it anyways.
No matter what level, we all have that. Yep.
Exactly. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and follow Trish and enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week. Thank you, Trish.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Speaking and Storytelling Podcast. Now, I'd love to hear your voice. What's one thing you learned from today's episode? How did it inspire you? And how will you take action today? You can let me know by leaving a review or visit me on Instagram at emanuela.hall. My friend, remember that you were born for such a time as this. So get out there and fearlessly share your unique God-given voice, because it just might be the thing that changes the world.